Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Andrew Borden now is dead. Lizzie hit him on the head. Up in heaven he will sing. On the gallows she will swing. On August 4th, 1892, the police were called to a house on 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, where the mutilated bodies of Andrew and Abby Borden were found. Andrew's daughter, Lizzie Borden, was one of the people in the house when the crime was said to have happened. Lizzie's calm demeanor alarmed detectives, leading Lizzie Borden to be suspect number 1. In this episode of 6 Feet Under, we discuss the case that became infamous for its chilling nursery rhyme. Background. Born on July 19, 1860 to James Borden and Sarah Anthony Morse, Lizzie James Borden and her older sister, Emma Lenora Borden, grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts. Though her family was wealthy, her father was known for his frugality, as the house that they lived in had no electricity and indoor plumbing, which was a common accommodation for the upper class at the time. Lizzie and Emma grew up with a religious upbringing and attended Central Congregational Church. Lizzie was known to be heavily active in church as she taught Sunday school to recently immigrated children. She also served as secretary-treasurer at the Christian Endeavor Society. When Lizzie was only 2, her mother passed away. 3 years after her death, Andrew decided to marry Abby Durfee Gray. The Borden sisters did not have a good relationship with their stepmother and would call Abby Mrs. Borden. They also believed she was after their family's wealth. As the sisters grew into adulthood, they continued to live with their father and stepmother. As the tensions continued to grow in the household, Andrew was giving away real estate to Abby's family members. The sisters felt their fortune beginning to dwindle, and on July 21, 1892, Emma and Lizzie got into an argument with Andrew and Abby, which resulted in the sisters leaving the house and traveling to New Bedford. 1 week before the murders, Lizzie returned to Fall River, where she decided to stay at a local rooming house for 4 days before returning to her home. On the day of the murders, it was a regular morning in the Borden household. Or so it seemed. Andrew, Abby, Lizzie, and John Morse, Lizzie and Abby's uncle, along with Bridget Sullivan, the Borden's maid, who also went by Maggie, had breakfast. John and Andrew left the room to discuss business. After their talk, John left the house and Andrew Borden left for his morning walk, sometime around 9 a.m., while Abby went upstairs to clean the rooms between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. When Andrew returned, his keys did not work, so Maggie went and opened the door. She stated at this time she could hear Lizzie laughing at the top of the stairs, despite not seeing her. Andrew then went to lay down on the sofa for a nap. As he was resting, Lizzie told Maggie to go to the store as there was a sale. Maggie declined and decided to stay home as she was not feeling well. She went to her third-floor room to rest. At 11 a.m., she heard Lizzie cry out,
"Maggie, come quick! Father's dead! Somebody came and killed him!"
Maggie then rushed to the downstairs living room to find Andrew Borden slumped over on the couch he was resting on, hacked almost beyond recognition and still bleeding from fresh wounds. Police were notified and Adelaide Churchill, a neighbor of the Bordens, came and comforted Lizzie as police investigated the crime scene. When looking for Abby, Adelaide made the grisly discovery of the stepmother's body on the 2nd floor. The case would now be investigated as a double homicide. Investigation. When the investigators came to the Borden's house, they were disturbed by the lack of blood around the area that the bodies were found. Despite the gory scene, the rooms that the bodies were found in showed no sign of a struggle. The police could not uncover any obvious weapon. When they continued to search the house, they found 2 hatchets as well as a broken hatchet and a handle in the basement. The break in the handle seemed fresh as it did not have any dust like the others and appeared to be deliberately placed to make it seem like it's been there for a while. The police suspected that this was the murder weapon as they found the wounds on Andrew and Abby Borden matched the size of the hatchet. According to forensic investigation, Andrew Borden was struck 10 or 11 times with the hatchet. One of his eyeballs were split cleanly in 2, which told forensic that he was asleep at the time of the attack. Abby's body was found in a more gruesome state. At the time of her attack, Abby was facing the assailant. She was first struck on the side of her head with the hatchet. After she was hit, she turned and fell to the ground when the killer hit her 17 more times in the back of her head, killing her. When Borden was questioned regarding the murders, police found her statements to be strange and contradictory. Lizzie said she was in the barn looking for lead sinkers at the time of their brutal murders. At first, she told police she heard a groan or scraping noise before entering the home, but then later changed her statement to her not hearing anything at all when she came home. When police checked the barn, there were no footprints in the dust that coated the floors. Despite Lizzie's inconsistent statements and alibis, the police did not check her for bloodstains as she said she was not feeling well. On the night following the murders, Lizzie and Emma's friend, Alice Russell, spent the night with the sisters. Police were also stationed around the house. That night, a police officer reported seeing Lizzie enter the cellar with Alice, carrying a kerosene lamp as well as a slop pail. He later saw the woman leave the cellar, only for Lizzie to return later by herself. When the police officer went to look, he saw Lizzie leaning over a sink. On August 6th, Lizzie Borden was informed that she was a suspect in the murder of Andrew and Abby Borden. The next morning, Alice found Lizzie tearing up a dress. When questioned, Lizzie stated that it was covered in paint and was planning on burning it. It was unknown if that was the dress that Borden was wearing on the day of the murders. The trial of Lizzie Borden took place on June 5, 1893, and lasted until June 20, 1893. She was acquitted of all charges against her due to her having an alibi at the time of the murders. When asked how she felt about the final verdict, she stated that she was the happiest woman in the world. Theories. Though Lizzie was acquitted of all charges, she still remains prime suspect of Andrew and Abby's murder. There were many speculations on how and why Lizzie committed the murders. Some say she was physically and sexually abused by her father, which led her into committing the murders. Another theory was that Lizzie was having a relationship with Maggie and that Abby found the two together and reacted in horror and disgust. Lizzie then killed Abby, later confessing to her father, killing him in a fit of rage when he reacted the same way. Abby then hid the murder weapon. It was later rumored that Lizzie was a lesbian, but not Maggie, as she was married to a man in Montana a while after the murders. Though on her deathbed, she confessed to her sister that she changed her testimony during the trial to protect Lizzie. Later life and death. After the trial, Lizzie and her sister moved into a larger, more modern house in the Hill in Fall River, where she changed her name to Lisbeth A. Borden. They lived a lavish lifestyle in the Hill. They hired an in-house maid, a housekeeper, as well as a coachman. Though living a lifestyle she wanted, the Hill Society alienated Lizzie for her past. She was also later accused of stealing from a shop in Rhode Island. Lizzie and Emma got into an argument over a party that Lizzie threw for actress Nance O'Neill. The argument resulted in Emma moving out of the house that Lizzie and her shared. The sisters would never see each other again. On June 1st, 1927, Lizzie Andrew Borden died due to pneumonia. She was buried in Oak Grove Cemetery in Fall River, Massachusetts. Was Lizzie Borden the one who was behind the brutal murders of Andrew and Abby Borden? Or was it someone else who committed the atrocious act? The key that would unlock the answers to the mystery is buried 6 feet under.